Paltrocast.
Rich, how's your day going aside from answering the same questions from wrestling fans over and over and over again?
My day's going pretty well up until a little wasp decided to fly above my head. I'm out here in sunny Florida, as you can see.
Yeah.
Day's going pretty great. I'm sitting back thinking about April 20th, thinking about Rebellion, baby.
Yet another big event for you as part of the TNA roster. So, there's the Vegas, there's Orlando, etc. Are you most excited about Rebellion? That's what I'm assuming.
I'm definitely most about Rebellion. Definitely because when it comes to my record at Rebellion, it's a little jacked up, and about what's it, 3 years ago, on the very same date, April 20th, I lost both the TNA World Championship and the Impact Championship to Kenny Omega. And so now that my mind's a little bit set right by AJ Francis, I'm ready to rectify that and beat Joe Henry, who right now has already beaten me twice, once in England, and then at the very building we're about to wrestle at again, the Palms.
That's not right. Well, I do have a question or two to ask you about Rebellion and all that, but let's talk about AJ Francis first. When I had the pleasure of interviewing AJ a month or two ago, I was talking music with him. And I was talking about how musical a lot of the TNA roster is and how great of a guitarist Rich Swann is. And he said to me, "Oh, yeah, I think I could do something with Rich Swann. I see that happening." I didn't know that meant aligning with you in the ring.
Hey, rather than speak on it and tell you how good I am, just give me a second, all right?
The first time I ever saw you
I bet you guys didn't know that you were going to get a Rich Swann concert. It might not be under 15 minutes when you got Rich Swann on your show. Look at that. This right here is a 12-string Ibanez, all right? And I just shredded up a little bit like. That's just a little preview.
I think the key is Rich is underrated in a lot of ways, and the guitar is included in there. And the first time I saw you play, you were playing Nutshell by Alice in Chains, which tipped me off to this is a guy that we don't know that much about, who kind of has a secret side to him. Now, AJ and you, is music one of the bonding things?
That is definitely a big factor, but I'll tell you how I met AJ. I was on the way to I was coming home from Baltimore from a wrestling event, and I noticed this big, huge guy on the back of the plane, and it just so happened to be where I was sitting. And he looked at me and he said, "Hey, what's up, man?" I said, "Man, you look like you could be a wrestler." And he said, "That's funny. I'm actually about to go do a tryout right now." I said, "Dang, this guy's gonna make it." Lo and behold, 6 months later, I see him on TV being a huge star that he is. And then fast forward, our paths cross again in TNA wrestling.
Yeah.
And, he ain't lying. We gonna turn this into TNAJ Francis with your boy Rich Swann. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I think that you guys could have the faction of Maryland versus everything, or Maryland versus everyone, you two.
Yes, indeed. We tend to show everybody that, Maryland is first class.
Yeah. So back to Rebellion here. You in the past lost the title there on April 20th, but this year it looks like things are going to change for you in general. The only title, correct me if I'm wrong here, the only title in TNA you haven't yet held is the tag team titles, right?
Yes, indeed. That is the only championship that I have not held in TNA wrestling. And, I've had some pretty great partners, starting with Willie Mack, then with my best friend, Sammy Callahan. And the thing is, it's something different about this team between myself and AJ Francis.
Hmm.
See, we're something that is of like some dudes with attitude, if you get my drift, you know what I mean? We're the perfect match. And once we're able to show the whole wrestling universe, you know what I mean? We about to take over things.
Right. So you basically, what I'm getting at, and this is a compliment for you, Mr. Swann, is you've accomplished just about everything that there is to accomplish in TNA except hold those tag belts.
Yes, indeed, I have. And, that's the one thing that has eluded me several times. It's just slipped right through my fingers. You know what I mean? But myself and AJ, we got something in store for that.
Are there any other goals, or that's the only goal for you in TNA is winning the tag belts, possibly with AJ?
That's one of the main goals for me. And then anything else is just even sweeter. But it's really all about the money, 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 you know?
I hear you. So are you on a lot of shows after Rebellion? What are some of the other cities where we might see you besides on television, Rebellion, etc.?
Well, you can come to Albany, New York and see TNA Wrestling in May. And then also, if you want to check me out at CZW in my home of Maryland, where I'm the world champion,
Hmm.
come on down, check it out. But we're not here to talk about any of my endeavors or anything like that. We're here to talk about TNA and First Class.
Well, it's a confusing kind of thing because we are here to talk about TNA, but if you're world champion somewhere else, have I insulted you by not addressing you as champion or
you know, you
champ
know,
or Mr. Champ?
you know, it's something that you should know with respect if you're gonna have somebody come on and you're gonna, interview them. But
Hmm.
it's all good. Rich is a very forgiving person.
I appreciate that, Mr. Swan, champ, whatever I'm supposed to call you. So, what I've learned so far is there are still goals in TNA. You're going to avenge your curse of April 20th. You're going to be seeing a lot more cities. You're the best guitar player on the roster of
You're
TNA.
damn right.
You and AJ might win titles and do musical collaborations together. Are there any goals for you outside of wrestling in the future? Because when I look at Rich Swann, I think of a guy who is still extremely young in wrestling, who's been on television for basically the last 10 years, held all these titles and all that. But there could be some acting success in your future.
That's one thing that I definitely wanted to check into, look into. Um, but, my aspirations really, you know, I'd love to follow music, but how many other wrestlers in this goddamn industry jump from wrestling and try to make it as a musician, whether it be rap, whether it be rock and roll, whether it be country, it don't matter. So, I kind of, lead my life like somebody that's just waiting to see what comes. I don't
That
really
makes
have
sense.
I don't really have a plan for the future because sometimes when you plan things out, in my cases and experiences in life, it just gets eliminated and you got to make your own way anyway.
Hmm.
So I'd rather just take it one day at a time.
So, what's the number two hobby outside of wrestling? Is it music?
It's definitely music. It's definitely music. If I'm not playing a wrestling game, if I'm not thinking about wrestling, talking about wrestling, if I'm not training, then I'm listening to music. It doesn't matter what genre, what style, who is the artist. artist. I'm playing music. I'm going to concerts and I'm going to shows, when I'm not, working out, trying to be the best version of myself. That's definitely something that, takes me out and I'm able to zone into something that is really near and dear to my heart. I wouldn't say it's a number two. I definitely would say that wrestling and music is definitely like a head to head. They go together so well. I mean, you
Yeah.
can't think about Limp Bizkit my way without thinking about the Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin. Now, can you?
Probably not. Probably
I'm
not.
just
Is that the music video that has Ben Stiller as the parking lot attendant?
oh, I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure. I think so, possibly.
So I also think of Ben Stiller, aka Zoolander, but
Oh,
Rock and Stone Cold works for me. And two quick questions before I let the genius, the champion, Mr. Swann go. And the first one is, what's the last concert that you went to as a fan, being that you're such a big music fan?
the last concert that I went to was actually with one of my Rascal buddies, Zachary Wentz. It was down here in Planet Hollywood. Or no, it wasn't Planet Hollywood. It was at Universal at BB King's,
Hmm.
and we saw a band called Sleep Theory and Beartooth and uh, Incarnation Animate. Yeah,
That's a heavy
it was
show.
pretty. Yeah, it was pretty crazy. It was a pretty amazing sight to see all those people just going off, going nuts. The circle pits were crazy. Like, I dig it.
And the last question for you here. Obviously, you and AJ are underrated if you're not already world champion or tag team champion. And we'll see in the future if that happens. But besides you two, who's the most underrated person on the current TNA roster?
Most underrated person. Man, that's pretty hard to say because the roster right now is pretty stacked. I'll tell you that right now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but when I'm thinking of somebody who's a legend, who is just somebody who, for years and years and years, has been on the grind, has been a leader in the locker room. I think of Eddie Edwards. That's somebody who I feel like not the people in the back, but a lot of fans don't realize how much of a G that dude really is. He is a global honor crown champion. You know what I'm saying? He was a TNA champion, Ring
Sure.
of Honor champion, Ring of Honor tag champion, TNA World Tag Champion. Like he's held all the belts. He's done it. You know what I mean? He's been everywhere. Um, and I feel like, they are the current tag team champions right now. That's another reason why I brought him up because I got my eye on him. But, you know, I could see him being a world champion for years and years and years to come.
Until you take the belt from him.
You know, when the time's right.
Paltrocast.